A very long time ago, before humans ever knew cities or cars, a vast forest stretched between high mountains and winding rivers, where trees reached into the sky, vibrant flowers covered the ground, and dinosaurs lived everywhere. In the heart of this forest lived a massive dinosaur named Ra'ad, who was larger than most dinosaurs around him and had a very powerful voice. But despite his immense size, he was gentle and kind-hearted. Every morning, he loved wandering alone near the river, spending a long time searching for fresh fruit and tender leaves. One sunny morning, while drinking from the river, Ra'ad heard a strange noise coming from the trees. Woof! Woof! So he raised his head, looked around, and whispered in surprise, "What is that sound?" Stepping slowly toward the trees, he discovered a tiny brown puppy trembling behind a rock, exhausted and frightened, looking around as if searching for someone he knew. Ra'ad leaned down softly and spoke in a gentle voice. "Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you." And as the puppy took a step back, Ra'ad smiled and added, "I know I am very big to you, but you can trust me." Approaching slowly, the little dog sat beside Ra'ad, and when Ra'ad asked, "Where is your family?" the puppy lowered his head helplessly, prompting Ra'ad to understand he was lost and reassure him, "Don't worry, we will find your family," which made the puppy wag his tail for the first time as if he understood every word. From that moment, their adventure began as Ra'ad and the little dog walked among the trees, with the puppy staying close to Ra'ad's feet and hiding behind him whenever he heard a strange sound. After a while, they reached a spot covered in tracks, where Ra'ad stopped, looked at the ground, and said, "Maybe your family passed through here?" before the pup sniffed the dirt and trotted off quickly in a specific direction. Ra'ad ran after him, calling out, "Wait, don't wander off." But the puppy suddenly stopped in front of a thicket where they found tiny prints in the soil that were very old, leading Ra'ad to say, "It seems we are heading in the wrong direction." The puppy sat down sadly, so Ra'ad approached him and encouraged, "It's all right. Finding someone lost is not easy, but we will not give up." After which the dog stood back up and continued walking with his new friend. After hours of walking, the two arrived at a wide river with fast-moving water and no bridge to cross. So after the puppy looked to the other side and then at Ra'ad, Ra'ad said, "We must find a way to cross." Searching along the river, Ra'ad found a massive fallen tree trunk near the water and pushed it across a narrow stretch of the river, declaring, "We can use this as a bridge." The puppy began crossing carefully. Step, then another step, until one of his paws suddenly slipped, making him squeak, "Woof!" and freeze in fear. So Ra'ad extended his tail near him and said, "Don't be afraid. I am here." The dog managed to regain his balance, reached the other side safely, and after Ra'ad crossed as well, ran around him happily while Ra'ad laughed and said, "See that? You were very brave." As evening drew near, towering mountains appeared before them, and Ra'ad suggested, "Perhaps your family is behind these mountains." So the two began climbing one of the mountains. The path was difficult with many sharp stones, and while Ra'ad could cross easily, he slowed his pace so the little dog could keep up, until the puppy grew exhausted and sat on the ground, prompting Ra'ad to ask, "Do you want to rest?" The dog nodded his head, so Ra'ad approached, picked him up onto his back and said, "Hold on tight." The puppy rode atop Ra'ad's back as the big dinosaur climbed, gazing at the trees from high above in amazement, and even though Ra'ad warned, "Don't look down," the puppy kept looking at everything around him in delight. When they reached the summit of the mountain, they saw the entire forest from above with magnificent views, but there was still no sign of the puppy's family. Suddenly, the sky began to grow dark, clouds appeared, and rain started to fall, so Ra'ad said, "We must find a place to take shelter." They searched until they found a small cave inside the mountain, went inside, and waited for the storm to calm down while the dog sat next to Ra'ad. After a little while, feeling sleepy, the puppy placed his head on Ra'ad's foot and fell asleep, while Ra'ad looked at him and said, "Don't worry, little one. Tomorrow we will continue searching," before falling asleep himself as the rain fell outside all night. The next morning, they emerged from the cave onto the wet ground, but something strange caught the puppy's attention as he began sniffing the dirt and moving quickly, leading Ra'ad to ask, "What did you find?" The dog stopped at a set of tracks that belonged to a dog, so Ra'ad approached, examined them closely, and announced, "These tracks are fresh." The puppy began running in the direction of the tracks with Ra'ad running right behind him, and every time they found new tracks, the puppy felt hopeful. But after a while, the tracks disappeared again, and the dog stood sadly until Ra'ad said, "Don't be sad. This time we learned something important. Your family was indeed here," which made the dog's tail start wagging again. The journey continued until they arrived at a large valley surrounded by trees on all sides, where the place was very quiet, and Ra'ad said, "Let's search here." As they began walking, suddenly they heard a distant sound. Woof! Woof! So the puppy froze completely, perked his ears, and upon hearing the sound again began running at top speed while Ra'ad ran behind him laughing. "Wait for me!" The puppy passed between the trees and stopped abruptly in front of a group of people with several dogs, including a large dog that looked remarkably like him. So the little puppy ran toward him. It was his father. His family approached him quickly and surrounded him happily as the dog leaped and wagged his tail, hardly believing he was finally back with his family while Ra'ad stood at a distance, smiling. The little puppy approached Ra'ad and looked at him, clearly reluctant to leave his new friend, so Ra'ad said, "I am happy that you found your family." And after sitting beside him for a moment, the pup returned to his family. Before Ra'ad left, the little dog ran toward him once more, and Ra'ad gently held his paw and said, "Don't worry, I will not forget you." The dog returned to his family, and they all began walking toward their home. But the puppy kept turning back to look while Ra'ad stood atop the hill waving to him. After the family vanished among the trees, Ra'ad returned to his path, thinking the adventure had ended, unaware that this was not the end of the story. A few days later, while Ra'ad was sitting near the river as usual, he suddenly heard a familiar sound. Woof! Woof! And turned around quickly. The little puppy was running toward him, but this time he wasn't lost. He had come with his family to visit his friend, so Ra'ad ran toward him with joy. From that day on, Ra'ad and the little dog met regularly. The puppy no longer feared the forest. Ra'ad no longer felt lonely on his journeys, and everyone in the forest came to know the story of the big dinosaur and the little dog. A story that began with a lost puppy and ended with an unforgettable friendship.